Welcome back to Paranormal Living, where the paranormal is our everyday lives. Well, we have a fantastic guest here for us today. I'm so excited to have her on the show. So, welcome to the show and go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Angie Kushchel, and I am the owner of Angie Spiritual Readings in Jupiter, Florida. I am a paranormal investigator with War Party Paranormal and also an author. And you can find me on all socials, books available on Amazon, and that's who I
Awesome.
am.
Awesome. So, how many books do you have out now?
Just one so far. I have a few more in progress, but just one so far.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. So, how did all this paranormal stuff get started for you?
Um, well, it kind of by accident, to be completely honest. I did not set out to be a paranormal investigator, and in complete transparency, I didn't even know there was such a thing. I was not a fan of paranormal. I never watched paranormal shows. I didn't really know anything about paranormal. Um, I knew that I maybe what some people call I had talents or abilities or whatever, however anyone wants to classify it, but that wasn't an active part of my life from about most of my teens and into my adulthood. I was not necessarily interested in it. I didn't want to be the weird person, so I just kind of that didn't exist to me anymore. And then after I had you know I've recently realized the true definition of near death experience. So I will not call it a near death experience anymore. I will call it a close to death experience. My my second one in my life. Um, I knew that everything when I woke up out of the coma that I was in, I did not come to, so to speak. There was no medical reason why I was not present. I was, according to the people that were in the room, and of course, I don't remember any of this. I was having conversations with people that were not the people that were in the room. And um, when I came to, I just, at that point, kind of just knew that my whole life was different, although I absolutely had no idea what that meant or what that was going to be. I just knew that things were different. And I was really getting a lot of information kind of downloaded, so to speak, that I didn't understand how to put it all together. And my goal at that time, every single day when I got up and I said, I'm not going to die today, that was kind of my only goal. But I was being so overwhelmed with so much information that I couldn't make sense of. I describe it in the book as I felt like I was watching 100 movies all at the same time in fast forward and reverse. I
Oh, wow.
knew that there was a message there for me. I just didn't know how to put it together.
Right.
And again, every day, don't die. So I was getting I knew things that I shouldn't know or had no way of knowing. I was getting a lot of clear voices that were telling me things that I needed to do. I was in a really, for lack of a better way to put it, a really jacked up relationship that I didn't even know. I wasn't aware of how bad it was. And I kept getting information about what to do and where to find what I needed to find in order to bring all this information to me so that I could see how crazy this person kind of was. And so I kind of had to go with it and still didn't really know what all of this kind of was about. And so I started going to classes, I started reading books, I started seeking out people that obviously had to know more than I knew because I didn't know anything. So
Yeah.
I started really people that I thought would be able to supply me with answers to what I was going through. And to be completely honest, I really thought that I just lost oxygen to my brain, so that I must have had some sort of brain damage. I must have had, these were delusions. They were not real. And as this process kind of went on, and it seems like a really long space of time, and it seems like a really short space of time all at the same time. And I have no concept of time at that point in my life, zero concept. So I'm kind of going through this process, and all the things that were being told to me and all the places that I needed to go and look for something, it was there. And I thought, that okay, so what am I doing? But then still the movie over and over again. And then slowly little pieces of the movie would kind of still frame so that I could see clearer what my next move needed to be. And so through all of this, I'm idly scrolling through social media, and I see an advertisement for a paranormal investigation group that was hosting an event not far from me. And I thought, well, if anybody should know what's going on with me, it's going to be them, right? So I went to that event, and telepathically I was screaming at them to hear me, and to reach out to me, and to let me know that I wasn't crazy. And it didn't happen. I left that event feeling even more confused, because if they can't hear me, then obviously
You're
this was some
crazy.
kind of weird fluke. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I left that event, like I said, even more confused than I was when I got there. So a period of time goes by, again, no concept of time. And I see this same group on social media advertising for new members. I thought, okay, I guess this is a good place to maybe find answers. And so I sent them a resume, which in all honesty was complete BS, because none of the things I told them, well, other than that I was a psychic medium, but even that I didn't identify with. I just thought I needed them to want me to be part of their group. I somehow felt that they were going to show me what I needed to see. Didn't know how that was going to work. Probably
Mhm.
in hindsight, I could have been setting myself up for failure. But my goal was really, really, when I joined this group, was to be proven that I was not psychic, that I was not a medium, that was not intuitive. That was my goal. My goal was to be proven that it was a fluke with all the information that I got, that there was nothing, quote, special about me, that I needed to go see somebody and be medicated, and this would all go away. That would have been an easier path for me, or so I felt.
Right.
I didn't want to be, being crazy is one thing, being medicated is one thing. Being so crazy that you're out traipsing through places talking to dead people was something that I couldn't even fathom. Did I talk to spirit energy when I was a kid? Sure. My mom said I did it all the time. Okay. But who goes traipsing through the cemeteries or haunted? Who does that? Crazy people. Well, not so crazy, but you know, I didn't know anything about it. And not to sound short-sighted, but I didn't. And so when I joined this group, again, with the intent to be proven that this was just a fluke, and they would say, there's nothing special about you, go on. I would then go get medicated and live the rest of my life. Well, it didn't quite work out that way. Um, I was challenged repeatedly by the group leaders. And I guess the people pleaser part of me wanted him to be proud of me in some weird, distorted way. So
Right.
somewhere along the line, I was like, no, I'm going to prove to you. I'm going to prove, instead of wanting to disprove, I then somehow, and I don't remember it being a conscious decision, it just kind of happened that way. That now I'm like, no, this is real. What is going on? So, and they tested me for 3 years. This wasn't a week. This wasn't 2 weeks. This wasn't a couple months. This was 3 years that they put me in situations that they already knew what was there to see if I could tell them and confirm with them. I got the opportunity to do a lot of residentials. I also got the opportunity to do a residential where there was nothing going on, and the client was told to lie to me, so to see if I could pick all that stuff up. When I say I was tested, I was tested.
You were tested.
So, like I said, I was tested. So, and like I said, that was about 3 years before one day we were at an event and one of the co-founders introduced me as the team psychic medium. And I was like, oh my God. You know, I was I was flattered and terrified all at the same time.
Yeah.
And you know, and in my book, I make reference to this because it was a very pivotal part of my life. And, I, in the book, and he knows this, and we're friends, and we're still part of the same team. He was a jerk. I mean, he told me that their team had many, many people that claimed to be psychic, claimed to be mediums, claimed to be sensitives, and weren't. So he was very, very hard on me before he would ever put the team stamp on that. And so I was proud and, like I said, terrified.
Mhm.
But it started just a whole nother journey of my life that I did not know that I needed. And did not realize that by dishonoring that part of who I am, that I was really causing myself some energetic, not being aligned energetically, which is why I always felt kind of out of place, the super intense anxiety, crowds of people, just, I couldn't deal with them because I didn't realize that I was getting such an influx of information that, that I didn't know how to process, how to get rid of, how to ground myself out of. I just didn't know. And in my mind, there was nobody to go to ask that at that time. As far as I was concerned, where do you go? They're going to think you're nuts.
Right.
So,
Right.
so that kind of started the evolutionary process of who I'm very proud to be today, which is someone who does walk around cemeteries in the
That's beautiful.
middle
That's
of the
beautiful.
night,
I'm
and
so
somebody who
happy and proud of
does
you.
enjoy. But I kept talking and then you were frozen, and then it's so I don't know how far we got.
Okay. I got to the point where you were being tested and everything with the paranormal group, and you in the book he was being very mean to you.
Yes, I described him as a jerk.
Yeah.
So, you know, hmm, have to try and catch back up with myself. So after, a period of time, this approximately 3 years that he tested me, and then we were at a team event, a paranormal investigation team event, and he introduced me as the team's psychic medium. And I was excited. I was nervous. It seemed like a lot of pressure, but I was thrilled and up for the opportunity and up for the challenge.
Good for
So,
you.
you know, it just put me in a place where I finally was felt like I was in a place that I was supposed to be, a place that I was denying for so long. And it's really, it's changed my life in ways that I can't even explain, because I didn't realize how out of sync I was with myself before. When we deny who we are, you know, eventually it makes us feel out of balance. And until we figure out exactly that we're safe in the place that we need to be, and we feel comfortable with who we are, our lives and our energy will always be out of balance.
Yeah, I get that. I'm kind of in that spot where I feel like I know where I want to go, but I'm like in a lost right now, kind of where I want to be. And well, I want to do some paranormal investigation. I want to be able to do that and really practice on my mediumship and channeling. And so I'm working on trying to get in with a group nearby, and it's tough getting a group nearby.
Yeah, it is tough. It's a teams can be very close knit, and when they get too big, then it just kind of it can fracture so many things, and become not as harmonious. So it's almost like someone has to leave before they let new people in, a lot of times, into the groups.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see that. I can see
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Wow. So you go into paranormal investigations, which I call PI, which, people think of private investigator, but as a PI, you're going in and now you're like, you've gotten all this experience. You've told these people all kinds of things that they lied to you about to get you to find out. Now what happens?
Well, that was just one case where they were trying to see if I could, tell the difference, if whether I was just going to believe something, that because that particular instance, this was a friend of other people on the group, and they wanted me and one of the other investigators, we were going to run that private household investigation as the lead investigators from start to finish. We were going to ask the questions, we were going to do the investigation, we were going to do the follow up. So I had certain questions that I wanted to ask, and I went over those questions with him before we went to the location, because it was important for me to make sure that I was staying within whatever the protocol was. Um, and so he knew what questions I was going to ask. So he told her which ones to lie to me about. So, so, and I knew she was lying, but I can't say to her, "You're lying." But I knew that it just wasn't right. I knew. And so we did the investigation at the house. We came up with the information that we needed to come up with. And she was having some activity at her house. It wasn't like there was zero activity. She was having activity at her house. Um, so we did the investigation. The other investigator and we talked. We went over our findings. We went over how we were now going to present said findings to the homeowner. And he was there monitoring the whole thing. And so when we got to having the client discussion at the end of the investigation, I said some things to her, and I said, and these things just don't add up to me. And that's when he came in, he said, listen, she's a friend of mine. I told her to not answer you honestly on certain questions because I really wanted to know if you would be able to tell. So a great experience because it gave me the opportunity to, again, get some confidence because there have been times where people absolutely will lie to you coming in. And we had a case, residential case, that nothing was going on. And they called and they made up a bunch of stuff. And I went there and I did my preliminary walkthrough of the house. And I'm like, there's nothing going on here. Oh my, am I not feeling it today? Am I maybe not up for this? I was questioning myself and I kept saying and I'll back up just a little bit. When I do, especially residentials, I have my own method, which is I don't want to know anything. I don't want to know client names. I don't want to know the address. I don't want to know anything until we're on our way. I don't want to know any questions or any conversations that anybody's had with this person. Nothing. I like to go in completely blind, completely cold. And then I walk through with one of the other investigators that I work really well with, and she knows how to keep me in focus. And she also reminds me that I have to talk out loud because just because I'm having a conversation in my head with maybe a spirit energy, she can't hear that.
Yeah.
So when I'm going through a house and I'm telling her I have to remember to say out loud, this is what I'm feeling. These are the names that I'm getting. I often say it's not my information. So as soon as it leaves my mouth, don't expect me to remember anything. It's not mine to own. And which is part of the way that I protect myself and keep my energy, more grounded is that I don't remember everything. So I kept saying to her, there's nothing going on here. I'm not getting anything. There's nothing. And so after I did my initial walkthrough, I walked back into a couple locations like I normally do. And then I said, I think outside. And that's usually what we do. I do my walkthrough, then the team goes outside. I let them know everything that I've felt, seen, heard, and then they compare all of that to the intake notes that they've taken from the homeowner. And that's how the verification process kind of works. So I went outside and I said, I don't know what to say here, but I got nothing here. I don't think anything's going on here. And the homeowners' stories were scratched, pushed. I mean, some pretty intense stuff. And I'm feeling nothing. So he went back in the house. I stayed outside. He went back in the house and they admitted that they had lied. And then pulled up on their social media page where they had posted on their social media page that they had we're bringing in a paranormal investigation team for a little Saturday night fun. So
Oh,
my experience led me to being so clear about what I know to be real and what I know to not be, that when I have to come face to face with someone who is not being honest, I can sit firmly enough in who I am and what I know to say, this is what I'm getting. Regardless of what you're saying, if I can't feel it, see it, touch it, it can't it doesn't exist to me, so I can't do anything with it. And and that's a very unfortunate situation that they chose to do that.
Yeah.
But experience is experience, lessons are lessons. So it was an important thing for me to just reconfirm that I can be completely honest with my team, and they're going to trust what I say enough to then follow through with whoever is making claims, whether they're real or not.
That's awesome.
And that's an important state. Yeah, it's kind of an important statement that,
Yeah.
it goes to trust and belief in somebody. And he never, as big of a jerk as he was to me was when he was testing me, when I tell him something, he believes that I'm telling him with everything that was given me the honest truth. And kind of a big deal. And I'm
That's
proud
a
of that. I'm
big
proud that
deal.
we have that. Yeah, we have a fantastic relationship.
That's awesome because you don't get that with just anybody. You have to be paired up just right. And that's
You really
awesome.
do. And personalities clash. Not everybody gets along. Not everybody works well with other people. And I consider myself extremely fortunate. Like the one girl that I said who walks around with me, I consider her not only to be an amazing human being, an amazing friend, and my paranormal ride or die. We have gone to some of reportedly the creepiest, haunted, scariest places, just the two of us. And we got it. She's everything that you would ever want your paranormal counterpart to be. And
That's
she
beautiful.
gets me, which matters. She gets
Yes,
me. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
I
She
could
asks me
totally get
questions
that.
that I never would have thought of. And she allows me, because she's not psychic and because she's not a medium, and she knows how to run all the equipment, so we're a good combination. She asked me, so what's going on here? Okay, let's see if we can get some feedback on that, or let's see if we can get some confirmation. So we're and I'm not the most technologically advanced person. I jokingly, but it's honest, say that most of the times I show up on a paranormal investigation with lip gloss. Most of the time, I don't even remember a flashlight. So I'm not a paranormal Boy Scout. And I figure, what do I need all this stuff for? I got this. I've got this. What do I need that for? That's on you guys to confirm. Now, as the years have progressed, yes, I try to remember flashlight. And yes, I do have some paranormal equipment that I use. And I like going old school paranormal equipment. I like going really old school. And I've worked with testing out some of that kind of stuff with the more sophisticated kind of equipment that other members of our team have. So it's a pretty good balance of people. We used to be 30 something people. Unfortunately, that was just too big of a team. So some people have kind of gone off and done their own things. And, some of the groups we will collaborate with on certain things and join each other on different events. So I've been fortunate that I met some fantastic human beings and investigators, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah. That's really totally exciting for you. I mean, to be able to get into that spot and to find your team right away like that, that's very encouraging for me, for one. For two, I'm so happy for you. I mean, it's like that's just so joyful. It makes me so happy you found someone and they work really well.
absolutely.
That's just
Yeah.
awesome.
And that's why, sometimes I feel like it could be hard. find a team, because, not every personality jives. Not everybody works well. People work very, very differently. And everybody, what I've learned that, people have their opinion on how to investigate.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes those opinions clash and methods clash. And, so that can make the dynamic, a little more difficult.
Yeah.
I have experienced that. I've experienced people that investigate in ways that I don't feel comfortable with. I don't antagonize. I'm not provoking. I'm not doing that. I'm here. Hey, how's it going? My name's Angie. Nice to meet you. I'm introducing myself as I would to anybody else.
Right.
And so the provoking thing, that, those kinds of things, that doesn't necessarily jive with everybody. And I'm not going to say that's fine, but people are going to do what people are going to do. So it's hard to find people that are in alignment with your belief system and your methods and your, and motivations are different. You have people in the paranormal world that think that they're going to be whatever the next greatest thing in paranormal is, that they're going to be on TV and that they're going to be celebrities and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
What is there, like 5 people in the paranormal industry that's actually their job, that's
Yeah.
pays their rent,
Yeah. I don't know if I want to do
so
that.
you know would it be interesting to travel to anywhere you wanted to travel to in order to record it, to yeah, and make money at? Sure, that would be fantastic, because then I can go anywhere I want to go anytime I want to go there. But not, I will never sell myself out and fake things like I know are being faked by some people. Never.
Oh, yeah.
I'd rather spend every moment in a cemetery and not go to the coolest places in the world than sell myself out.
Yeah. That's where I would be. That's me. It's got to be the true thing and absolutely right on. No AI, no Hollywood, no nothing like that. I want straight up truth, and that's what this show is like about. It's about people's experiences, things they've
Right.
experienced. So to help others out. But yeah, I agree with you. I think to go in and just act like you're talking with somebody else, in any other living being, is would be my way. You go in and say, hey, how was your day?
Absolutely.
Or something. I haven't been on one yet, so I'm like excited to go on one. But I can just imagine, okay, you go in and you're just like, hey, I hear you, I see you. Tell me about yourself or whatever. Yeah.
Right. And that's how you like it to go. And I've been on investigations where zero has happened, where you spend 6 or 7 hours and all you really did was lug equipment and eat a snack, where there's no activity. And I've been to some of the places that have claims of being the most haunted places in this country. Zero. Zero. No recorded, no photographs, no, even nobody talked, 1 or 2 people talked to me, but nothing great, nothing, nothing.
Was it just a low night
And
for them
so,
or
well, it depends. I mean, some of the most haunted locations parade so many people through there all the time. And I think that sometimes that just causes, we don't want to talk to anybody anymore. Stop
Right.
bothering us. Stop traipsing through here. And that's one theory. And another theory is that after a while, all the energy that comes in there kind of takes some of that other energy with it, and it all starts to dissipate, so you can't read it anymore. I don't know. I have, but I've been to some supposed to be fantastic locations that weren't fantastic for me. So, and some of them, even while I was there, I've looked through evidence that other people have collected there and said, yeah, that's easily debunked. I'm in the same location. I'm seeing the same activity with you. That activity is not paranormal activity. That activity is an air vent that's blowing the balloon that you think the little girl is playing with. It's an air vent. I saw it too. And I'm like, oh, yeah, here we go. Here we go. And then I'm like, I'm so excited. And then it's
Right.
like, okay, air vent. And you're like, oh, man. So, sometimes evidence is inflated. Sometimes the evidence is all perspective. You know,
Yeah.
and that's just kind of the way it goes. And people not debunking is part of the over sensationalizing that happens sometimes.
And when you first got started, was that pretty exciting when even though it was debunked, it was still exciting for you? Did you kind of have that kind of feel that,
I
oh,
got
it
better
could
at
have been?
debunking as time went on. I ought I when I first started, I didn't spend time in a lot of haunted locations. Yes, I went to residentials. That's very different though. And a lot of time in cemeteries where there isn't that kind of balloons moving, that kind of stuff. It was me having a communication with somebody that is no longer with us, and me telling what communication I was having, and then they would look it up and see what I was saying and verify it based on certain, I don't know, obituaries or whatever. How are you Google things and find things out about people? But so, now as far as debunking just generally, sure. Did you hear that? Yeah, but let me walk over here and see if it was the floor. That kind of stuff. Was someone just walking? Did the wind blow? That's normal kind of debunking. Higher level debunking, which uh, comes with experience and not believing that everything that goes boo in the night is spirit energy. you
Yeah.
know there are people that's like, oh my gosh, did you hear all those voices? Yeah, there's people two floors over or two wings over. It might have been them. Or
Yeah.
there's people
Yeah.
moving, or did the air conditioning click on, so you start to think of things in a way that, not that you don't believe that the spirit energy is there, and not that you're being over skeptical or over cynical, but if you don't come into paranormal investigation with a healthy dose of skepticism, you know then you're going to believe everything that goes bump is spirit energy. And it's not.
It's
It's
not.
not. It's not. No, no. Some things just happen.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what is one of your most scariest investigations or experiences, and one of your most joyful? So, yeah, someday I'm gonna get out there. I'm gonna find a group around me. If anyone out there has any groups that you know of that's in the Loveland, Colorado area, let me know. I would love to get in touch with somebody and do some investigations and work on my skill sets and just enjoy it and learn a lot more about it. So I would be happy about that. So if anyone knows, please, by all means, email me or write in the comments below. I'd appreciate that. Um, the picture I have behind me is the Stanley Hotel. I did get up there to the Stanley this past summer, and that was pretty interesting. I didn't see anything or feel anything, but it was interesting just to be in there and just for the first time. It was pretty cool. I enjoyed it. So let's see if Angie gets back here. Oh, here she
Okay,
comes.
now I'm back.
Hello.
Don't know what happened there either. Okay, so the question you asked was what was my scariest and what was my coolest,
Most
maybe.
joyous, fun, funny.
Okay, so I have to say that I have never been scared. I have been startled, but I've never been scared. I've never gone running out of a building. I have walked briskly, but I have never been scared. Scared. Never. Again, startled, not scared. Um, so I would have to say that probably the most surprising thing that I've had happen on a paranormal investigation was we were in an old building in Miami, Dade County, something like that. And we went into one of the upstairs rooms, and it was me and the same girl that I was telling you about. Her name's Nicole. And I think we might have been doing a spirit box session. I'm not exactly sure. And, anytime I go into an old building, I like to look around. The stuff is cool and whatever. So we were kind of sitting there, chit-chatting and, kind of touching some of the stuff and all of that. And she wound up sitting down in a chair to my right, and I was sitting on the bed, which was across from a dresser kind of thing that had a mirror.
Okay.
And I was sitting there and I'm kind of looking at the mirror and I'm seeing some movement in the mirror. So of course I turn around to see if it's, lights coming through because there was a window behind me. If it was lights coming through, if maybe there were cars going by and that was kind of catching it. And I'm like, no, I don't think that's it. So I continue to look in this mirror and all of a sudden I'm looking, strange things paranormal investigators say, I'm looking deeper into the mirror. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking into the mirror, and all of a sudden, my face wasn't my face anymore. It was a very, very clear image of somebody else. And I thought, ooh, that's cool. But I didn't want to react. So I just thought, wow, that's pretty interesting. And I sat there and I looked at it and I looked at it. And then I thought, that's pretty cool.
Mhm.
So without saying anything, I switched places. I said, hey, come sit here. And I said, I want you to look in the mirror again. Weird things people say. Look deep in the mirror. Just like right here where she sat there for a minute. And, I think once or twice she said, what am I supposed to say? And I'm like, just look. And she sat there and I knew the moment she was going to see what I saw. And I was sitting there and to myself, I'm going, oh, it's getting ready to happen. It's getting ready to happen. And then all of a sudden she leans back. She goes, oh my God, whose face is that? I said, I know, that was so cool, right? So I
And she probably freaking
asked
out
her.
though.
She doesn't freak out either, but
Oh,
she
good.
was so surprised by it. And then the energy in the room instantly changed. The energy got super heavy, super anxious. So one of those places where, again, I don't run, I said, I think we need to go get some fresh air. So we went downstairs, went outside for a while, and we walked out of there and stood in the parking lot. And both of us, for what probably was 45 minutes, just stared at that second story window. And you could see movement walking in front of the window. For 45 minutes, we sat there. We were mesmerized by this. So now there's other investigators here with us. Not, we were the only two people in that house, but there are multiple houses at this site. So I said, let's see if we can get anybody else to see the same thing. So one by one, we brought the different investigators up to that room. Same instructions, look in the mirror, just look a little bit deeper. And every single investigator saw the same thing. And it wasn't until everybody saw it, except, I take that back, except for one, she didn't see it. And one refused. So I think there were 7 investigators there, 5 of them saw it. Nobody said anything to anybody else. I specifically said, don't say anything to anybody else. So after I tried this experiment with everybody, then we kind of had a little meeting in the parking lot. And everybody saw the same thing, some with a little more detail, some with a little less detail, but everybody saw the same thing. And I thought, that's a pretty cool experience. We were able to reproduce it. Now you go look at that mirror. There's nothing in that mirror. I looked at the mirror. There's no old mirror beveling or paint, that silver, whatever on the backside. I looked at it. If you look in that mirror, you very clearly see your face with none of that weird warping thing that old mirrors get. I tried to debunk it. Everybody saw the same thing. So that was pretty cool.
Wow.
Now, one of the most beautiful, incredible things that I ever seen that I would consider a paranormal experience is when my grandmother passed away.
Oh,
And I know
beautiful.
that probably sounds weird,
No.
but I was voted kind of by default as the only one that the family thought could handle it while she was taken off life support.
Yeah.
And it was me and another man who was her religious person. He and I did not have the same belief system. He had completely different belief systems, we and I knew that based on the faith that they were involved in.
Sure.
We never said a word to each other. We never introduced ourselves to each other. Never spoke a single word to each other. He was sitting on one side of the bed, saying whatever prayers he was saying. I was sitting on the other side of the bed, holding my grandmother's hand. And at the same exact moment, he and I looked up at each other and said, she's gone. I saw my grandfather come and get her. I don't know what he saw, because all we said was at the same moment, the only time we made eye contact, the only words we ever said to each other. And she wasn't gone yet. She still was breathing for multiple hours, but she was gone. And at that exact moment, we both knew it. I saw it. I felt it. And it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And I know that people thinking that some people will think that's weird, but it wasn't. It was beautiful.
Yeah. Oh,
And
oh, I believe you. Yeah. Yeah, very beautiful.
so, yeah, so that was a very interesting experience. Yeah. So I've had a few interesting experience, I would say.
Yeah, yeah. I know we've been kind of on here for a little bit. I think we're about an hour. And I know
Okay.
you have so many more stories to tell because we haven't even gotten into stories that you've investigated. So
Some of them, yeah.
I'd like to have you back and we can talk about some of those experiences in the investigations. So that'd be
Okay.
awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I want to hear more of your stories. So, Yeah. Do you have any last words for people that are getting into paranormal investigations and what something they should know about?
Know how to use, know how to protect yourself before going in anywhere. Because one of the most valuable lessons I learned is do not go in and open yourself up to any energy that's there. And when we talk about that again, when we meet again, I will tell you about remind me, and I'll tell you about my paranormal drug overdose. Do not open yourself up to all the energy. It is not healthy for you. So that's probably the biggest piece of advice. And then trust yourself.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, thank you again for being on the show. I appreciate it and excited to have you back. And if
I
anyone else out
appreciate it
there,
also.
absolutely, absolutely. If anyone else out there has any stories you would like to share, email me, paranormaldana726@gmail.com, and we will get connected. And we will see everybody next time. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.